Hey there, Awesome Hope volunteers. It's another week here at Hope Kids, and I am so excited. We had a great trunk or treat. We actually had 258 preschoolers come out for a trunk or treat. So thank you so much for all those who donated candy and did a trunk or came out to just say hi or brought all your neighbors. It was an awesome event. So thank you so much. Again, it is November, so it is Thankful Month here for my volunteers in the preschool area. So every single week you're going to be getting a special little treat from me, and I'll be walking around and giving it to you. Last week it was cinnamon rolls, and so I actually made cinnamon rolls and handed them all out to my volunteers and said, thank you so much for the role that you play in our life. And every week will be full of puns. So get ready to have a great November and a thankful month for you. I am so thankful for what you do in the lives of our kids and also the parents. You guys are great at reaching out and making sure that relationally you are connecting with the parents here at Hope. And every week I have something awesome to say about you guys, and the parents have something awesome to say about you guys. So thank you so much for being a vital part of what we play here in Hope Kids. The next thing is that we have a new theme for the month, or a big idea that we get to share with the kids. So this month, it's God will provide for me. And that's right, God will provide for me. Last week we learned about how God provided for Elijah in the middle of the desert and brought the raven to bring him food. This week it's Elijah again, only it's Elijah and the widow. So God had this idea of Elijah was sitting there at the brook and he didn't have enough food coming from the ravens or from the brook, that soon the brook was drying up and there was no water. So he sent Elijah into town to go meet this widow. This widow had one son, and what happens was she was coming to get the last bit of water and use the last bit of flour and oil, and her son and her were going to have this last meal and they were going to have no more food. And Elijah said, just make me one loaf first, and God will never allow your oil or your flour to run out. It'll be this never-ending supply of God supplying it for you. And that is exactly what happened. She made that loaf of bread for Elijah first, which was supposed to be her last meal with her and her son, and it ended up being where this oil would never end. So inside of each one of your classrooms, you guys are going to have these little oil jars to remind the kids that this oil never ever ended. And then the craft this week is where they literally get to, I want you to take this little jar around your room and have the kids dip their little finger inside of the jar and put it right there where the oil is. And if they want to do it a couple of times, that's okay. But just to remind them that God will provide for them, just like he provided for Elijah and this widow when there was nothing else that could provide for them. That's what God did. And then I want you guys to also think of yourselves. I know that if you've been walking with the Lord for any amount of time, he provides for us, and he provides for us in this regular way in our lives. Whether it's this huge provision that he makes out for, like he did for the Elijah and the widow and providing that, or money or clothes, or God just has this way of providing for his children because he loves us. And so as you're teaching the kids these stories of how God provides for them, God will provide for me, think about how God has provided for you, specifically through your life, and how God has just always shown up. When it seems like there's not enough, God's there, and he divides it like the loaves and fishes like he did in that story. And you know what he does? He not only just provides what we need, but sometimes he gives us extraordinary above and beyond. Just like in that story of the 500 loaves and fish, they didn't just have what they needed for the day, but they had 12 basketfuls that they ended up picking up after everything that happened. So again, I want to encourage you that these stories are for the kids, but they're also to remind us of how God provides for us, and he will never stop providing for us. So I hope that you are encouraged this week, sharing the story of how this jar never stopped being full, and that's what God wants for you in your life too. So again, thank you so much for that. The next thing, the last tip that I have for you guys for the week is to go through and find that emergency flip chart inside of each one of your rooms. I've created an emergency flip chart. It's neon colored, and it's inside of each one of the rooms. So just go ahead, take 30 seconds before class or after class, and just remind yourself of our emergency procedures. And if you have any questions about anything inside that flip chart, please don't hesitate to ask me. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Sunday.